starting in a few minutes. Alright. Good morning, you guys. Good to see some of you showing up today. We're almost right on time. And today we're going to get into some pretty in-depth stuff again, kind of like we did last week. Um, it was nice because last week I actually had a record um, people that showed up for the live stream. That was last Friday. Um, at least on YouTube. It was the most I had at one point. So I guess we're taking off a little bit here, which is nice. So I hope that continues. Um, and so today we're going to go over hopefully some good stuff that you'll find interesting. Today, so episode 7, again live trading update, and in a continuation of creating a trading plan. So we talked a lot about that on Friday. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. But should you stick with that trading plan? Um, and if so, for how long? That's the tricky question. Is how long should we continue to try to make that trading plan work? Um, and will it benefit us sticking with it or moving on? I think that's probably one of the biggest questions that traders have is uh, when to drop a system and when to start picking up another. Um, and I went over last Friday how to appropriately dissect a system to see if it can work for you, and if so, for how long, before you even start really trading it live. So let's talk more about that now. I'm going to give you a live trading update while people are still showing up, what's going on with my current trades. Um, and so let's get into that now. Okay, so as you guys know, there's been a huge uptrend on the pound euro pound. That's been in part largely to the pound really, and the Brexit, the pressures of the Brexit still happening. When that's happening, when the UK is actually detaching themselves from the EU, and that has put a lot of pressure on the pound, causing it to move down on pretty much all pound pairs. Excuse me, sorry. And as you can see here, we're just looking at the pound USD. Big push down, and then in the last since the 3rd, March the 3rd, this is the biggest pullback that we've had since then. So it's been like 10 days since we've had a substantial pullback, which is happening right now. And we'll be able to see how long that will go for. You can check on the 4-hour, it doesn't look much different. It's still a pretty big substantial pullback, and you can see it here and here. Okay, so because of that move I'm looking at right now, it also manifested itself on the pound CAD, so here, and also on the euro pound as well. Now on top of that, we've had a little bit of love on the euro as well, so that's helping us out on that same move. So we're getting a little bit more substantial of a move on the euro pound because the pound is increasing in value and the euro is falling. So it's giving me a nice little extra boost on that push. And that's the most substantial push that we've actually had really since back on February 23rd. As you can see, just by eyeing it here and here. I mean, this wasn't as big. This wasn't as big. None of these pullbacks were. So it's just is mostly this one here and this one. Okay, so that's kind of goes a long way. When we see something that's more substantial, like this pullback, that means that, at least in my book, that it can continue. When finally we start getting some movement in the opposite direction. Um, when traders see this, they say, okay, well now it's finally getting its pullback, and it's time to jump on, and it causes a smaller pullback, or a little bit more substantial since the 23rd, to turn into a bigger one. And that's what we may be seeing now. Um, so let's see if it continues. There's only one way to tell, and that's by waiting it out. So where's my take profit? My take profit's going to be around, I would guess, in this area. Yeah, I'm looking at 50 pips amongst all these trades, so the majority of them will need to be in profit. And so I would guess anywhere in here, I'm running an EA, so it will decide and calculates when I have 50 pips profit amongst all these positions. All right, so I have a little bit longer to wait, obviously. We need about another, that's about 80 or so pips, maybe a little bit less. Okay, so what's happening on the pound CAD? You know that I trade this pair as well, and I've actually turned off my EA. So the EA entered trades here, here, and here, right? And so that was trade 1, 2, and 3. And typically it would take profit right about in this area, or actually it bounced up in here. It would have taken profit of about 50 pips there, so right in here. And I turned off the EA. Now I'm going to get into the reason why. And I'm going to see if I can pull it up. I think I recently restarted my computer, so let me see if I can bring that up. So yes, I turned off the EA on the pound CAD, so I could help make some of the drawdown from the euro pound back on the my other pair, which is the pound CAD. And so that's what's happening right now. So I'm logging into my VPS right now. So if you guys don't know what a VPS server is, it's basically a place where you can it's a server that's constantly running, so like 99% of the time, almost 100% of the time. Uh, and it's convenient because sometimes your internet you lose connection, or your computer may shut off. And so when you're running an EA, it's important to try to have a VPS running in the background, just in case you lose that connection. So you can see that auto trading is turned on at the top, but you can see the frowny face with my inside canopy RMA EA. And if you click on that, you'll see that allow live trading is unchecked. And so because that's unchecked, that means that this EA is not trading, but the trades are still, the previous trades are still entered, and you can actually see where they were placed. And so I'm holding it out. So when this moves up, when the pound CAD moves up, pound CAD is moving up, then the euro pound is moving down. It's a counter correlation between these two pairs, and so that's what I'm working with. And so when this is moving down into profit, that means that this is also moving further into profit, causing these trades to work as a hedge for the drawdown that I'm receiving on the euro pound. I'm just doing in this case in this scenario. Typically, I won't be doing this, but since the drawdown is higher on the substantial on or was substantial on the euro pound, that's why I'm doing this on the pound CAD. So that looks like this on my actual my FX book trading account, where you can see. I'm going to refresh it so you can see the current drawdown. So this week we haven't had any profit, but this month we had 0.5%. So if you guys have tracked this account, which is, I can put it in the description if you like it, it was at almost 9% earlier. So 9% drawdown, which is kind of a lot, right? The most I've had on this account was 21%. And so 9% wasn't something to worry about, but it was higher up there than it typically is. And like I said, not worried about it, but you can see the change just in the small movement that's happened since my top order, which is about 50 pips, and then obviously a lot more on this pair, which is about 95 pips from the bottom. Okay, so that's where my current trades are now. And you know where I had to take the profit here around this area. It might be a little bit higher up because of the hedges that I have on the pound CAD. It may cause me to close out my trades a little bit earlier. So I'm planning on closing all euro pound and pound CAD trades out at the same time or close to the same time. And so I can have basically a no trades in once that's done. Please put your MyFX book account on links. Sure, no problem. So you guys yeah, you're free to track this. It's been going since November of last year. So it's been a while, and I've had a profitable month every month since then. And this stream, if you're joining for the first time, this stream is going over what I do to profit, how I'm doing it exactly, and I've gone over it multiple times, what indicators are used, when my entries are, when my exits are, and so you can follow along with me. Not every stream will go over exactly what the system that I do does or trades, but if you stick with me and watch some of my previous episodes, you'll see what exactly it is that I'm doing. Okay, so let's get into, since we talked about the trades already, let's get into the trading plan, the continuation of creating that plan. So last week we talked about how important finding a system is, and risk management, how to approach the system, how to really calculate if it's going to be profitable for you, if it's only short term or long term. Long term. Uh, and today I wanted to get a little bit more into that. And so to do that, actually I think I have to, oh, there it is. Okay. So we're going to load up a chart. No problem, Samir. I'm glad that I could post it for you. Okay, so this system is let's see if I can get this. Okay, so you guys know I use forexwinners.net, right? It's a good place to see decent systems that have been reviewed. You can see here this one has 49 votes and a 4-star rating, 80%. And it's called the Forex Octopus system. Now, I don't know who created this. It probably says who uploaded it. It gives a little description of it and a little picture of how it trades and when to enter. So I downloaded this system. You can do it yourself as well. You do free download, and I can post this, and you can follow along with me as I do this. Okay, so and then once you click the free download, you click free download again, and you wait for the 20 seconds. You see the little timer right here. You enter the code number, so you can actually download it, and then you wait for the timer to run out. And so we'll wait for that now. I like to show traders exactly how to install and work the things that I'm using, so you can too. This stream is about not just showing you what I'm doing, but also telling you step by step. So if you have a Google Chrome, which I do, you'll have this potentially pop up. You can either open it up in Internet Explorer, or you can just do visit this site anyway. So I actually opened it up in Internet Explorer. And once you wait for that timer and you press enter after you enter that number. So once you wait the 20 seconds and you have 4927, you press enter. Just press enter on your keyboard and it will download the item. So I'm going to wait again because since this is in a different browser. So 5 seconds. Okay. Now just press enter on my keyboard and you'll see where do you want to save forexoctopus.rar. So if you don't have RAR, I recommend downloading Windows RAR. It's basically a program that will allow you to, here I'm just going to press save as, will allow you to open this zip file. So if you have trouble trying to find it, you just search your downloads, and you find the one that is Forex Octopus, which I think I've already installed. It's actually put on my desktop. Okay, so you double click that, and since I'm running so many things in the background, and if you don't know where to place the indicators and the templates, I did show that in my last episode of how to do that. There's also a little instruction manual, which I don't think you really need. There's the picture, and then here's the little manual. There's not much to be shown in it. Um, okay. Okay, it just kind of shows you how to work it and where to install the indicators and the templates and so on and so forth. So since that's already loaded up on my platform, now the thing is that the reason why we downloaded this is not because we know it's a great system. I'm testing it because I saw that the reviews were decent on the system, and decided I wanted to check it out to see if it was any good. So um, and go through that process with you, so you can better understand how to, you know, really know if this system is going to be good for you now or even in the long term. So you can see that the user has that created this system. Um, Let me get my marker. Shows us that we want to enter trades once the colors are changed and once price passes or the EMAs cross uh, the red EMA. So the yellow and green cross the red. Okay. So let's see that with those instructions, what that really turns out to be in the profit side. Okay, so we're running it, and we need to see what time frame it's supposed to be run on. We can see in the picture here that it's on the 1 hour, um, and it looks like this one is also the 1 hour and 1 hour as well. So that yes, please use the 1 hour time frame only. The creator says. So you can see here, this is a cross of the red EMA, which is let's see what EMA number that is. Okay, it's a moving average of 55. The green is a moving average of 13. And the yellow is a moving average of 3. Okay, so that's pretty good EMA numbers. The 55 will show a medium term kind of trend. And you can see that we had an entry right here, right about in this area. And you can see it was a pretty good trade. So a lot of traders will happen when they see this, they're like, oh dang, this is a great system. Because look at that. Look at this awesome trade and what it turned out to be. Okay, so don't start trading the system right away. You got to look at all the previous history that allows and see how profitable the system was. Okay, so we know that the entries, what the entries are now, right? So let's see what the actual, if he has any exit plan, like stop loss or take profit or anything like that, to help us with any guidance on what the system is. Now, this is just the system on forexwinners.net. You can also find the same kind of thing on forexfactory.com, where the user will state how many pips he's taking, what's the stop loss, and so on and so forth. Um, let's see, I don't see anything in the manual, at least not yet. Signals, okay. Three conditions. Okay, so about take profit and stop loss. Stop loss may be placed 5 to 7 pips above the red EMA. Stop loss, okay, for buy orders and 5 to 6 pips below the red EMA. Okay, so that's actually not a bad idea. So he's basically saying that it's a pretty tight stop loss though, because the entry for the EMAs. Now you have to be informed about how EMAs work. You know that they are lagging, right? EMAs lag behind price, and so you always have to wait for the candle to close before you can really know if it's going to be a full cross or not. So let's see what that actually entails. Okay, so the yellow crossed, it shows that it crossed right here, right? But that's actually once the candle closes. So that's not actually displaying that until the next candle. Because again, that's lagging. It has to wait for the candle to close in order for it to show that this push above the red EMA actually happened. So the green, obviously at this point it's not above the red, the 55. And so we have to look when that happened. Okay, so the cross actually did happen on this candle, but it didn't actually close that way until this candle, which I'm going to circle now, actually closed. So this wasn't an entry candle or an entry signal until this candle right here. So this one. Okay, so you can see how late that is. So that's why the creator of the system says that 5 to 7 pips below the red line of your entry price, the red 55 EMA. So that would be, so our entry 5 to 7 pips. So let's try 6 pips. So that would be about 1.05491. Okay, so right about in that area. And that is a total of 34 pips on the stop loss side. So the take profit. Now, what does it say about take profit? Compare very price movements. Okay. Uh, Since you do not recommend using a fixed take profit, as it may reduce your gains. Still, if you are an experienced trader, you can take your own decision about a fixed take profit on certain pairs. Although the same idea is applied to fixed stop loss using. Um, okay, so I guess he just kind of says work with your own take profit. And I would probably say the same thing. You can a lot of times how you can do a take profit with an EMA system is by the 3 crossing the 13 and closing below it. So this would be a pretty good trade actually of about 90 pips. And that's one way to work it. Now, so those of you that are just joining, I basically just downloaded this system off of this website, forexwinners.net, which I put in the link in YouTube. The reason why I'm looking at this system for the first time, and the reason why I downloaded it is because you see 49 votes with a 4-star rating. And so I downloaded it and checking it out right now. Now, there's a couple of things that we need to know with before we really start dissecting this system. What pairs will it trade well on? Now, you have to know your trading pairs, and you have to understand which pairs actually trend the most. So what we could do is one thing is go into Google and you search top trending forex pairs. I just had a typo. And you can kind of get some ideas of what pairs trend the most. There's also some indicators out there which I think I'm going to try to bring into my next stream to get a better idea of which pairs actually trend the most. Now there's some ideas that you can get. Like let's go to this website is kind of a paid website. Let's see what we can find. Now there's some websites that have suggestions on what they think, but you know that there are some pairs that trend really well. It's usually the more volatile pairs, for example, like the UJ, the Euro US dollar in some cases, the Pound USD, the Euro Japanese Yen. A lot of the yen pairs trend very heavily. So because I didn't do my research before actually getting into which pairs trend the most, I'm going to actually find this for the next stream and we'll talk about it because there are some websites that you can find. I was hoping that my FX book would show up because they might have some ideas on which pairs trend the most. There are also some indicators that I could find because the reason why I bring that up is because you want to know what if this is a trending system, right? So you want to know what pairs are best to use this system on. You can also just do that yourself by going through each pair manually and seeing which ones look the best, but that's also really difficult to know, and it might be cut down on a lot of time just by finding out which pairs do trend the most. And so, because I already know that from just experience, the pairs that I understand, a lot of the majors do. The odd USD is a big trending pair, odd Japanese yen, the pound Japanese yen, uh, and many others. The euro Japanese yen as well, the euro US dollar in some cases. But so you want to know which pairs do that, so just so you're not trading on the wrong pair, and having unnecessary losses. Or if you're trading on multiple pairs, you don't want to have one pair that's losing a lot because you're trading it on a non trending or arranging type of pair. Now, every pair goes through its ranging periods and its trending periods. Some of them are more than others, where they'll go through longer periods of ranging and longer periods of trending. And sometimes it's difficult to actually know that. And so a system like this, for example, uh, is, I guess, its weakness is falling into the times when a pair is ranging, because we don't really know when that's going to happen. We don't know when it's really going to start ranging, how long it's going to go for until after the fact. And so we need to see how this type of system handles a ranging market. How's it going, Andy? I just saw your message. Good to see you here. Okay, so let's see how this next trade worked out. This one didn't work as well, right? Because uh, it was kind of a fake out. We thought it was going to move down. It didn't quite move down, and then it shot back up. And that's when the big trend happened. So when's the entry point with this position? Okay, so the yellow passed here. The green is still above the red, and we want the red and green to be below the green and the yellow to be below the red. So the close of this candle is when that happened, right here. So the open of the next candle actually displayed these EMAs the way that they did, and so your entry would be right on this red line, right on the open of the candle. Okay, so this actually didn't turn out so bad. It wasn't that bad of a trade, and if you follow the rules, of what the creators said, and or the creator said, and exiting when the yellow passes over the green on the sell side. Okay. What that looks like is, unfortunately, we had to wait. Now you can, so this candle, one I've marked, it's a pretty large candle. It's about 20 pips. And you can see the big push of the EMA, and it goes straight up there. Let me zoom in a bit. Now this is kind of letting you guys know of how EMAs work. EMAs are lagging, and so you have to understand how these indicators work before you can really trade them correctly. So you see this. I'm looking at the yellow EMA. I wish I had a better color. Let me get like a pink or something. Okay, so the EMA. You can see that it has like a smoother, less movement, but then it shoots up right here. Right there is what I'm talking about. And it's because of this candle. It shoots up in a big way because of this candle. And so that actually doesn't look like that until this candle is closed. So our exit wouldn't be until this mark, because all of this happened with this EMA crossing and everything happened within this candle. Okay, so unfortunately this is a small loss. Well, it's about break even. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on to the next one. So the next entry, and we're going to start moving a little bit faster now because I don't have to go into exactly what we just did over and over again. So the entry of this signal, okay, so the green crossed there, but that was just we would need to wait for the close, so that would be the entry right here. The exit would be when we cross back down, and unfortunately it was because there was some volatility, we actually lost out here. Well, on some decent profit. So this candlestick kind of killed us because it moved a lot. It means that we couldn't exit the trade until this point. So it's a small profit. It's not huge, but look at this. This is unfortunate. This is what happens a lot with trending systems, is that it moved up 65 pips, and we only came out with 5. You guys notice, you're going to notice that a lot with trending systems, especially the idea of trying to leave a trade in, or cutting your losses short and letting your profits ride. Uh, that's happens all the time. So you could do a trailing stop on this, make it 50 pips or so. But the unfortunate thing is that when it moves up 50 pips, you're still going to come out with almost the same difference, really, if you have a 50 pips trailing stop. So that's the tricky thing, is knowing where to place those take profits. So you have a good idea of where to place your stop loss, which is like the guy said in the instruction manual, about 5 pips below. So that would be about a 25 pip stop loss. Now that's one thing you could do. And so you have 25 pips as a stop loss. Where should the take profit be? Well, you can allow the EMAs to try to calculate that for you. You can see that only turned out to be 5 pips. What about doing like a 2-to-1? You could do maybe a 50 pips take profit and a 25 pip stop loss. Because your stop loss you found out was a flexible 25 pips, why not a 50 pip stop loss? And if that was the case, then you would have come out with 50 pips, and that would have been a pretty good trade. Now, Zach is saying, here's a breakdown for you. Okay. Let me see this, what this link is. That page isn't working. By the way, Zach, it says, let me, I'll always screen things just before I post them, but I want you to see this is page is not found. So that's what's happened with your link, Zach. But Zach, what I'm doing here is basically talking through the process of discovery uh, of if a system is profitable or not. Talking through with you. It's not like I'm trying to figure out myself here. This is purely instructional in discussing about where is the best place to put a profit on a trade like this. And so I'm also leaving it up to the user as well, where they can make their own decision. So either we come out with 5 pips, we could also use break even as well on the trade just in case, and we can do it 2-to-1, 50 pips to 25 for a stop loss and a 50 pips profit. Or you could do 3-to-1. If it was 3-to-1, then you would actually ended up not really coming out with any profit. So it's about not being being conservative, but not being too greedy and having a good balance. Okay, so let's do one more, and then we'll move on to what reasons should you stay with this octopus system? Are they good enough? Um, and have you done enough research? And we'll get into more about that here in a second. Okay, so here is the second, another position. Let's make sure that this is correct. Okay, so this would be our entry here. This trade moved a total of about 50 pips before it shot back up. And if we're following our rules of the crossing of the yellow over the green, then that's happened right here. And unfortunately, we would have come out with another break-even trade. And that's pretty sad because it ended up moving a total of 68 pips. But the thing is that you wouldn't have known that this would have shot back up and it went back down. This area is difficult to know if it's going to continue up from there. We just never know. Now you could say that we stay into the trade until the price moves back up. So basically we have another signal on the long side. So long right here. You can say that. Keep the system, and look at that. That would actually end up being a better position if we would have left it in that way. But you see what I'm saying is that every single trade comes out with different results, and so you can't constantly be. If you're wanting to do a mechanical system where you're having a solid take profit and a set take profit and a set stop loss, you can see the problems involved in doing that because every trade it works a little differently. And here we would have gotten knocked out. But if we would have held on to it longer, we would have come out with a total of about 27 pips or so. Well, actually, no. Because if we're looking for another signal, then we won't be entering until there. And this is actually not going to be as good of a position because yes, it did cross. There's just so many different ways you could work this. So you could say, oh, I could go all the way and wait for another buy signal on the other side. Let me delete this so you don't get confused. And this is buy here, and this is sell. And do we exit here in this area when it pushes back up? Do we exit when the yellow crosses the red? That would leave us here, which is pretty good. And that's the kind of things that you need to work with. So not just looking at this. I find that a lot of people do this. They'll look at the system, follow the instructions, and they won't spend the time with it. They won't spend the time looking over the system to see what the best results can be. Uh, are the settings that the creator gave you the best? Uh, did, do they make sense? Are there better options that you could use? What's the correct money management? Now, the correct money management should be, if this is your entry on the short side, your exit is about 28 pips, you probably don't want to risk more with a stop loss system. I wouldn't say risk more than about 1% on per trade. And that's still pretty high. But yeah, I wouldn't risk more than 1% on that specific trade. So we have 3 trades here, and it's kind of mixed on which type of strategy you should use, exit strategy, or we know the stop loss, but where the take profit should be is so difficult with trending systems, and that's actually one reason why I stay away from them. Is because knowing where to take profit can be a little bit difficult. Uh, okay, corrected link. Let me check that out now. Zach. It's still not coming up right. I don't know what's going on. Oh, okay, he's reattached it. So I'm gonna screen this real fast. So bear with me, guys. Sorry to keep you waiting. Sorry that that page does not exist. Zach, I'm not really sure what you're trying to show us. Unfortunately, I'm sorry that it's not working. Um, okay. So do you stick with the system? So the thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go back as far as you can with the system to see what of those types of exits with the profit work best. So we mentioned before the yellow crossing the green could be something. The yellow crossing the red could be something of an exit signal. Uh, Doubling your stop loss could be something. So you're going to have to experiment and see what options are best for that. What works the longest term. And so far, we can actually scroll back quite a ways. The thing that sucks, okay, the thing that really sucks here, guys, is that you need to put in that work. This is like the paperwork at a job. Like nobody wants to do paperwork. Or for me, I'm a musician, so I don't want to practice. I don't want to have to spend hours practicing a piece before a show. The practicing is like the busy work, the stuff that you don't want to do. And but it's necessary. It's what gets you ready for the performance. It's the numbers that give you the statistics that the data that you have to go off on to make the correct decision. It's this kind of stuff that you need to do in order to become a more consistent and profitable trader. You can't just look at something for 1 second and say, okay, well, the creator says that we need to enter trades here and we need to exit trades here. But you're going to see that a lot of times that what happens is we have losing trades. And everybody wants a system that has massive winning trades and limited small losing trades. And that's so difficult to find because every stop loss system has streaks of losing trades and also streaks of winning ones too. But most of the time, people's stop losses are smaller than their profits, and so they're going to have larger streaks of losses than they are of profits. I see this happening all the time, where somebody has a 50 pip stop loss and a 200 pip take profit, and they could they could have 10 losing trades in a row and just one winning trade, making it so you're still losing a lot. Or the opposite, where somebody's having a very tight take profit of like 20 pips and a stop loss of say 50. Yeah, that means that you potentially could be getting more take profits hit. Um, but the problem is that the stop loss may not be big enough, and that's still getting hit just as much. So those are the things that you need to think about when trading, um, while trying to find an edge in the market. So this system actually looks okay, but like I said before, it's a EMA system, and most traders, and I say most trend traders. Let me change that. Most trend traders use some kind of EMA type of indicator in order to find trends, whether it's smaller EMAs, or shorter time frames like what this guy has here, the 13 and 5, 3, or something larger like a 55 and 100 EMA, or even a simple moving average as well of like 100 or 200 or 300. I see that a lot. And honestly, what I'm trying to say here is you don't necessarily need an EMA to see where the trend is going. You don't need an EMA to be pointing downwards. You don't need to see the crosses in order to see a downtrend. I mean, you can just delete these. And you can see that if you scroll out a little bit, you can see that this is a downtrend starting from up here to down here, right? You don't need some indicators showing you that this is a downtrend. Just look at the swing high levels. Those will show you the most. Are there lower lows? Are there higher lows? And that will just show you where the downtrend actually is. Okay, so how does you work that into a system that you're using? I know that a lot of you guys like to use indicators because they can be tools, but they're also crutches, in my opinion. They're a crutch for you to fall back onto, either when something goes wrong or to kind of just display or confirm an idea that you have. So, for example, you think that you're convinced that this is a downtrend right here, right? From here to here. All right, so how late are these EMAs for getting into this trend? Well, you don't actually get until right about here. But the unfortunate thing is that you miss out on this whole move from the top, right? So that is a fair amount of pips that you lose out on before you actually enter this trade. Looks like about 60 pips that you miss out on. So that's the problem with trend systems, is that you actually enter way late. The trend could be done here. In this case, it didn't. It continued down, but it could have easily just bounced up from there. So that's the problem with indicators, is that they show you a late entry because you're watching the EMAs and how they react to the price. So if we take off the EMAs, we maybe can look at what price is doing up at that point. So let's look at the price without the EMAs up there. Is there something that shows us that this could be a reversal point up here? So I'm going to circle it again. And I don't really see a whole lot of indication that we're having a reversal pattern here, at least in this case. The only one that's questionable is this candle and potentially this candle. But I did see this one here. So let's pick a different location, because honestly, there was not a lot that we could have done in this area. But maybe there is a different place. Bear with me. Okay, here's one right here. So this is a reversal point, right? Push down, pushed up here. We got the swing levels. This one got broken here, and we have the swing high here. Now, with our little indicator, let's see what it showed, our octopus system. Okay, our octopus system, oh, it scrolled all the way back, unfortunately. I think it did. Okay, so we're going to use this area because it looks a little bit better. Anyway, okay, so we see that the octopus is showing us an uptrend. I'm going to switch back to white. Uptrend here, right? It crossed here, our entry was here, our exit was probably somewhere here, so we got some pips from using that system. What about on the downside? Okay, it didn't show us to enter until about this point. But I actually see an entry right here, right after the peak. And that is, actually I see two entries. And those are inside candles. Now we're just using the price action the candlesticks to show us potential entries on the price on the downside. So this was a peak here. If you're talking about the high point, that's what we're talking about. And the pushback down. Okay, so you can try to use that with your trading system. So what if you decided that you were going to enter right here, and you're going to write this all the way down and entered with the octopus system on the downside here. So you could actually catch a lot more of a trending trading system by implementing other ideas on top of that. Okay, so to keep you guys interested in what's going on, let's see how far back we can push this system. And unfortunately, if you want to know how the system works, you're going to have, if it's going to work for you, you have to go back as far as possible. It looks like we're back in, looks like July of 2016. It looks like you can go back a pretty long ways. A lot of indicators, custom indicators from MT4 don't allow you to go back a long ways, and so it's really hard to test them. This one does, so give it a try. It might be something that's useful. Now, a lot of traders have the problem of when the system starts losing, they back out. They back out because they think it's losing and they had a losing trade and that's it. I find that a lot of traders get scared out of their system because of a couple losses. If it's a stop loss system, then you're going to have, like I said before, you're going to have streams of losses that happen. But if the profits in the longer term can outweigh those losses, then it's worth staying with the system. Now, I find that a lot of people that back out after a couple losses, one, because they're using too much risk. Two, and those losses are too large to sustain. So even a few losses in a row can really hurt them because you're using too much risk, and so it causes them to bounce away from potentially a good system. And two, uh, they get scared out. They get scared out of using the system because they see losses, and every trader hates losses, right? We just I don't like them. I hate them. That's why I use this particular type of trading where I hold on to some of my trades based on uh, a trading plan that I have. So don't get scared out of your system so fast. The reason why you're getting scared is because that means you don't fully understand the system that you're trading, and you don't fully understand that uh, the losses that you have been having or you had will come out potential winners in the long run. The reason why, and how you find that out is by back testing your strategy. Going back a few years, I recommend as much as 5, maybe 7 years, uh, back test to see if how large those streams of losses are. Is it 10? Is it 20 trades in a row? Is it more? Is it less? How many winners are in a row? And just get out your calculator and use your crosshair as well. You can use your crosshair to see how many pips on the profitable trades. And yes, it will take some time, but like I said, it's the busy paperwork that nobody really wants to do, but it's necessary. Um, so do that research because that research can save you. And it also will free your mind too from stressing out on things that are unnecessary, like a couple losses. Uh, and and I already gave you a good tool to use for trading and finding systems. And that is just um, by going to forexwinners.ru or .net. That's a good place to start. I mean, you also have Forex Factory as well, but there's a ton of places that you can get systems on. But do that research, okay? So that's pretty much what I wanted to go over today, guys. I know that I hope that this has been kind of informative. There's more talk in the future that I'm going to do about systems um, and money management. I think I might do a whole stream on money management so you guys can get a better idea of how to approach it in the best way. I'd like to thank um, uh, Marin Hristrov. He suggested that I talk about a trading plan and following that trading plan. Um and and he also wanted to mention about why traders happen to abandon their systems, um, or even stick with them for that matter. It can be a double-edged sword. Sticking with your system could be a problem because if it continues to lose, but you have so much confidence in it, that could be a problem too. You have to try to being a profitable trader requires good balance, and knowing where the limits of the system, where the limits of yourself, your mind, your emotions, and the limit of your risk management is. And so that's why every person has to kind of go into developing the system themselves. I don't recommend just finding a system online and following exactly what the creator of that system intended. You got to dissect it yourself. So one, you fully understand it, and two, you can modify it in a way that's maybe more profitable long term. And I'm showing you how to do that, or the best way to do that, even though it may seem really tedious to do that. There's also something else that I'm going to get into next time, and that is talking about EAs and how EAs can actually help in finding that strategy, that edge in that strategy. And I'll go over it next Friday or this Friday about this system. Maybe we'll even go back to this system and we'll talk about the entry points, and maybe we can make an EA out of this system uh, where the creator says to enter trades and exit. And that EA should be flexible enough with the creator with the coder that we're working with. So we have multiple places of exit. So for example, the entry point would be here, right? Because of the crossing of the green indicators here and the crossing of the yellow and green above the red. Now the exit good exit signal would be the crossing of the yellow on the green, right? That's one exit. Another exit is doubling the stop loss, take profit, or tripling, and then also a trailing stop. So if you're creating an EA, you want all these options to be involved in those settings, so you have multiple areas to explore. And then when the EA is doing this, you can test all these different methods for over years of time. And so I'm going to go over a little bit more of that next time, and so you can maybe do the same. And I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you where to go to have an EA created of your system, uh, and for pretty cheap, and how to do it, and to help you find up to help you in your journey of finding a profitable edge, or if you already have a profitable edge, improving that profit. All right, let me see if there's any last questions on the stream. And if so, then I think I'm going. If not, then thanks, Ryan. I will now rewind and watch from the start. I came a bit late. Great, Andy. Yeah, that's thanks for the support and watching the stream. There's let me know, guys. I know that there's a few of you still in here, and let me know what you want me to talk about, because these things. It was very nice to get. Sorry. Let me exit that. It was nice from a user on YouTube. He wrote a nice long email to me, just a message through eBay, through YouTube, saying that he had a couple suggestions for my streams, and this is what I should talk about. So if you guys want to do the same, you can message me through YouTube as well, or even during some of my streams, you can tell me what you would like me to talk about on the next streams as well. Um, and this way, I'm, working with you guys to talk about what you want, what you think is necessary. Um, because I don't want to talk about things that you don't find that are relevant to your trading technique or who you are as a trader. Um, because I want the stream to be about finding a profitable edge, not just from me, but to you, but also you in that discovery process on your own as well. Uh, in the UK here, there is a very interesting website called Spread Bet Beginner. It uses a system very like what you have just shown. Yeah, I actually think I've heard of that website, but I'll have to check it out, Andy, uh, because that might be something that we could talk about in the stream. So uh, I'm gonna copy that and check it out before the next stream. All right, so I'm going to see you guys on Friday, and I'm happy to see some interaction here in the room. Continue that. Whether it's skepticism, I'm okay with that. If you guys are skeptical about what I'm doing, how my approach, what I'm saying, yeah, type it out. I'm happy to discuss that over the stream. Uh, if you have any systems or pairs that you want me to talk about, I can do that as well. All right. Thanks so much, guys, for watching, and I'll see you Friday at 9 a.m. See ya.